The familiar stranger. The wind howled a mournful tune through the cracked window panes of the old bookstore, the dusty tome. Amelia, nose buried in a first edition of Poe, barely registered the chill that snaked down her spine, until a voice, smooth as polished oak, broke the silence. "Looking for something specific, miss?" Amelia startled, nearly dropping the book. A man stood in the doorway, shrouded in the twilight filtering through dusty glass. He was vaguely familiar, yet a stranger. Mid-40s, salt and pepper hair framing kind eyes, a smile crinkling the corners of his lips. "No, just browsing," she stammered, heart hammering a frantic rhythm against her ribs. "Ah, a worthy pursuit," he said, stepping further into the store. The air seemed to crackle with his presence. A love for the written word, a treasure in this digital age. He moved with an unervingly familiar gait, browsing shelves with a practiced ease. Amelia watched, entranced and inexplicably afraid. He picked up a book, The Haunting of Hill House, and flipped through it, a knowing glint in his eyes. "A classic," he mused. "But have you considered more local tales?" He pulled a worn leather-bound volume from a hidden shelf behind a stack of biographies. It emanated a faint, cloying sweetness. The title, etched in gold lettering, sent a shiver down Amelia's spine. The Chronicles of the Familiar Stranger. "Never heard of it," she admitted, curiosity battling unease. "Of course not," he chuckled, a sound devoid of warmth. "It's not for the faint of heart. Shall I tell you a story?" Before Amelia could refuse, he settled into a creaky armchair, the book cradled in his lap. As he began to speak, the wind outside died down, replaced by a suffocating stillness. The stranger in the woods. The story unfolded in the same town Amelia called home, a sleepy hollow nestled between rolling hills. It centered on a young couple, Martha and William, who moved into a secluded cottage on the edge of a vast, ancient forest. One crisp autumn morning, they encountered a stranger while taking a walk. Tall and handsome, with a charm that radiated like sunshine, he introduced himself as Silas. He claimed to be a traveling scholar, drawn to the town's untapped potential. Silas quickly became an enigma. He possessed an uncanny knowledge of the town's history, its hidden corners, and its long-forgotten folklore. He spoke of lost trails leading to hidden waterfalls, whispered tales of ancient spirits that roamed the woods at night. Martha and William were mesmerized. They invited Silas to stay in their guest room. He became an unofficial fixture, joining them for meals, sharing stories by the crackling fireplace, his presence filling their home with a strange warmth. One starlit night, Silas confided in William. He spoke of a hidden grove within the forest, a place of immense power where one could unlock their deepest desires. He promised to guide them both, whispering secrets about tapping into that power, about achieving their dreams. William, ambitious and yearning for success in his struggling business, was enthralled. Martha, however, felt a prickle of unease. The grove, Silas described with unsettling relish, sounded forbidden, something out of a twisted fairy tale. The next morning, William was gone. He'd left a hastily scribbled note, apologizing for being called away on a sudden business trip. Days turned into weeks, and William remained absent. Martha, filled with a gnawing fear, confronted Silas. He remained calm, his smile unwavering. "William is simply pursuing his goals," he reassured her. "The grove grants wishes, Miss Martha. He is simply reaping the rewards of his ambition." Desperate, Martha ventured into the forest alone, the whispers in Silas's stories guiding her steps. The ancient trees loomed, twisted branches clawing at the sky. An unnatural silence hung heavy in the air. The chilling realization dawned on her: William wasn't on a business trip. He was part of the grove's dark bargain. She stumbled into a clearing bathed in an unnatural, sickly light. In the center stood a gnarled, ancient tree, its roots writhing like serpents. On the ground lay William, face vacant, eyes glowing with a chilling emerald light. As Martha reached for him, Silas materialized at the clearing's edge, his smile a grotesque parody of warmth. "The grove grants wishes," he repeated, his voice now cold and serpentine. "But it always takes something back." He gestured towards William, who stood, his body a hollow shell devoid of life. "William achieved his dreams," Silas hissed. "But now something else resides within him." Amelia slammed the book shut, its musty pages fluttering in the sudden rush of wind that swept through the store. The man Silas was gone. Or was he? Had he ever truly been there? Sweat beaded on her forehead. The story resonated with a chilling truth, a truth that sent shivers down her spine. The man in the store, his knowing smile, the way he spoke of local tales, it all fit. He was the familiar stranger. Panic threatened to consume her, but Amelia forced it down. She had to act. Grabbing a flashlight and a tattered map from a dusty corner, a relic from her childhood exploration days, she sprinted out of the store, the weight of the Chronicles heavy in her backpack. The once familiar street seemed menacing under the cloak of night. Every rustle of leaves, every creak of an old sign, sent a jolt of fear through her. Reaching the edge of town, where the forest began its dark embrace, Amelia hesitated. But the chilling image of William, a hollow shell possessed by something else, spurred her onward. The forest floor was a treacherous maze of roots and fallen branches. The air grew thick and humid, the silence broken only by the unsettling snap of twigs under her feet. The map, faded and barely legible, offered little guidance. Doubt gnawed at Amelia. Was she foolish? Had Silas manipulated her with his story, preying on her natural curiosity? Suddenly, a flicker of light caught her eye. Pushing through a curtain of thorny vines, she emerged into the clearing described in the Chronicles. The gnarled tree stood in the center, its grotesque, pulsating roots illuminated by an unnatural glow. And there, before it, stood Silas. He turned, his smile wider and somehow more terrifying in the eerie light. "Ah, Miss Amelia," he said, his voice dripping with a chilling familiarity. So eager to join the fun. Fear coiled in Amelia's stomach, but she forced her voice steady. "Let William go, Silas. Whatever this power is, it's not worth the cost." Silas chuckled, a sound like dry leaves rustling in a cold wind. "Cost? There is no cost for ambition, Miss Amelia. Only a price to be paid." He gestured towards the tree, its pulsating light intensifying. "The grove grants wishes, but it demands a piece of you in return. A small sacrifice for your heart's desire." Amelia knew then that escaping with William might not be enough. She had to break the hold of the grove itself. Remembering a passage from the Chronicles, she fumbled in her backpack, pulling out a small, tarnished silver compass. According to the book, the grove's power was strongest at its heart, the pulsating light. But the compass, aligned with a specific constellation visible only on that night, could disrupt its flow. As Silas lunged towards her, she sprinted, dodging gnarled roots and reaching the base of the pulsating tree. She held the compass aloft, whispering the incantation from the book. The light flickered, its intensity wavering. Silas roared in frustration, his eyes burning with rage. A battle of wills ensued. The forest seemed to twist and contort around them, fueled by Silas's fury. The air crackled with a strange energy as the compass needle spun wildly. Amelia gritted her teeth, adrenaline coursing through her veins. Suddenly, with a deafening snap, a branch whipped across the clearing, knocking the compass from her grasp. It clattered to the ground, inches from the tree's base. Desperation clawed at Amelia. All her efforts, for nothing? But then, a strange thing happened. The compass, lying near the tree's pulsating root, began to glow with an intense white light. The light surged, engulfing the clearing, blinding everything in its path. When the light subsided, Silas was gone. The unnatural glow from the tree had vanished, replaced by a soft, green luminescence. William stood motionless before the tree, his eyes flickering open, the emerald glow now gone. He looked at Amelia, confusion etched on his face. "Where am I?" he rasped, his voice weak. Relief washed over Amelia, so powerful it brought tears to her eyes. She rushed to him, engulfing him in a hug. The ordeal was far from over, but she had done it. She had broken the familiar stranger's hold, at least for now. Leading William out of the forest, the first rays of dawn painting the sky with a promise of a new day, Amelia knew the battle wasn't truly won. The Chronicles remained, a chilling reminder of the darkness that lurked in the shadows. The familiar stranger might be gone, but the grove still stood, a silent threat, waiting for the next willing soul to be tempted by its forbidden.